What's up, Tiger fans? It's Morgan and Alan again, back with another YouTube video. This time, we're going to give you our Clemson spring game reaction. That's right. If you got a chance to see the spring game on television or in person like Alan and I did, I know you probably enjoyed it. Good thing to see the orange and white out there playing football again. We are all excited, and we're going to talk about it tonight. So stay tuned. Before you do, though, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive Clemson content. We put out Clemson content new every single week. All right, Big Al, here we go. We're talking about the Clemson spring game. I know you're excited about it. I know you're happy for it. I got some notes here. Got my notes down. So on old school pen and paper here. But Dabo Swinney came out post-game. He talked about how it was competitive and how he was excited to see the guys out there showing out. And that's what I love about the spring game, is that you see some of these unknown guys come out there and really put on a show, do their best. Guys like Cornell Powell, you start to see him click and get it all together. And so you kind of know it's coming. It's coming. And it took a while. It took a long time for Powell. But he finally put it all together on Saturdays, moved it from spring game to actual in the season play. I look forward to what some guys can do. I see some highlights of some wide receivers that I think might be nice going into the 2021 season. Before we get into any of that, though, do you feel like, after looking at it, do you feel like it was a competitive game? And were there some guys out there that you feel like surprised you?
Well, yeah, it was definitely a competitive game. I mean, it was 14-13, right? I think everybody was pretty much surprised by the same. I say surprised by the same players, pleasantly surprised, and the fact that Joe showed out. And Ngata had a lot of catches as well. Those were some pretty big things. We had some plays being made all over the place. It's really difficult to tell what exactly is going on when they're blowing the whistle immediately with a sack. So are they really doing that well? Would they have been able to sack somebody live in a game? I don't know. It's tough to tell. Spring games are really hard, man. Every year I say that I'm not going to go to the spring game because you can't tell anything. They split up the teams too much and you can't tell anything. And every year I'm there in the stands, loving it as always.
Do you think that it was a little bit more subdued this time around, considering who the first game of the season is going to be against? I know a lot of fans were mentioning that. Oh, well, it's a little bit more boring this year, a little bit more watered down this year, right, because Georgia is #1 on the list coming into the season. Do you agree with that?
Sure, I think that plays a little bit of a part. You don't want to show everybody everything, and that's been Clemson's MO for quite some time. But yeah, you got to think it's even more watered down, as you like to say, for this kind of game.
Talking about Joe, that's one guy that surprised me. We did a video on him. Our Joe video is now our most popular video ever made on our YouTube channel. Almost 6,500 views now. It eclipsed, Joe alone eclipsed our top 5 Death Valley moments. Back when I was like 45 pounds heavier. So I don't like to watch that video because I don't look the same. But if you want to go check out our most popular video and see the difference between today and tomorrow, or today and back in the day, you'll definitely see what 2 years and Weight Watchers can do for you. But again, 2 years can do a lot of work for Joe as well. Number 11 was out there, and you and I had mentioned we'd like to see what he can do in situational play. Let me tell you something. Number 11 was not just a situational guy. He wasn't just a 6 foot, big time, 6'5" guy out there just jumping balls in the end zone. He was going all over the field, middle of the field, sideline, and also back of the end zone against Andrew Booth, none other. I was super impressed by him. Were you as impressed as well? I know you mentioned you were.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to love a Joe. We've been talking about his athleticism for quite some time. The guy's a freak. He's the guy you want getting off the bus. He's going to do incredible things here at Clemson. But he's got to learn the nuances of the game. The little small details he's going to have to work his way through. Getting into football so late, coming from Canada, that kind of thing. It's going to take him a while, and that's okay. But we definitely saw the flashes, and I think everybody's salivating over what we saw at the spring game.
Hey, man, you're talking about take a while. I think time is here. We mentioned we discussed this before. He doesn't need to know the whole playbook to go jump up and get the ball.
That's right.
And I mean, I think time is now for a Joe. I'm excited to see what he does this season. Again, DJU also connected on his first touchdown of the night or the afternoon with Bo Collins, a former high school teammate of his. So it was nice to see. Not only nice to see, Al, I know you and I love the same kind of things when it comes to Clemson football, but to see number 80 get into the end zone. That was kind of nice. Hadn't seen number 80 out on the field much.
It's been a while for sure. What was it? I remember Brandon Ford. Maybe he was 80 getting in the end zone. That was about the last time I remember it for sure. It's been a long time, and he muscled his way in the end zone for that from what I remember. So it was a kind of a slant to the out or an out route, I believe, and he caught it, and then he ended up just kind of bulling his way in the end zone. So it was good to see for sure. Bo Collins, hey, there's probably going to be a lot of connections between them in the future. Again, he wait his turn a little bit, but that's all right. He'll get there for sure. He's a smooth athlete, good receiver. He's gonna have his time, I promise.
One thing they don't lack is depth at wide receiver. I think
Yeah.
I went back and looked. I called you today because I couldn't even realize it. But I mean, I didn't even believe it. But 15 wide receivers on the roster. I don't know if all of those have actual scholarships. I don't believe they do. But 15 guys, I believe, played, at least got out there, were on the roster. It was tough for me. I see DJU and I see him being told by Dabo to run the 2-minute drill, and you see him running the 2-minute drill with guys that are not even going to be the third string wide receiver. So it is very tough for me. I know you want to see what he can do in a stressful situation, but I'm like, come on, man. Give him somebody. Give him somebody. Now, he did have Joseph Ngata out there. I think that Ngata, if he can stay healthy, looks lethal. We've been talking him up for quite some time, ever since he got recruited. We did a recruiting video on him. We just hadn't seen it in the season and postseason yet. Hopefully he can stay healthy, keep his abdomen in check and healthy, and do well. What do you think about Joseph's play this weekend?
Yeah, he played pretty well this weekend. Had a lot of catches, a lot of yards. As a matter of fact, I've been talking about him. Had a prospect crush on this guy for years. I've been telling you, he's coming. Just wait for it. He's coming. Just wait for it. But I keep having to say it because he keeps getting injured, and it's something he's got to stop. He's got to maintain his health throughout the whole season. That's what we need from him for sure. I was a little disappointed. He had a couple of drops, none more important than the heave from DJ to try to put him in field goal range to win the game at the end. As a matter of fact, he threw it up. I saw where the DBs were playing. I was like, this is Ngata's. This is Ngata's ball. No problem. He can get over them and get that. And he just couldn't make the play. I was really disappointed to see that because I thought that was his moment. I thought that was his kind of breakout moment. I'm here, guys. I'm ready to be the 5-star that everybody thought I was. And I thought that was going to be the moment. He carried that momentum into the season. He wasn't able to make the play. I'm still telling you he's going to be great as long as he stays healthy. But I was hoping he was going to make that play there at the end.
Not only that, I got to stop drooling about the wide receivers. I got a picture up. I got a picture up as well. I don't think you can see it, but it's got a Joe, Andrew Booth getting that one-handed grab. I mean, how many more one-handed grabs is he going to get in spring training? But good to see what Booth can do. Those cornerbacks look really good. I'm really excited about that. But we got to take a step back. We got to stop drooling over these wide receivers. What was the one position group we were most worried about? It was the offensive line. I love to see that hear that Dabo Swinney came out and said that was their number one priority, was getting that group, and you and I mentioned it, getting that group to a 9 to 11 player rotation. Okay, so you need 10 to rotate the complete 5. That means 10, plus 1 if you can. But if you can't get the full 10, at least 9. So first 5 and then 4 replacing him, 5, hopefully, maybe even 6. They definitely have the numbers and the depth to do it. It's just, can they get the ability and the skill out there and the cohesiveness of that group? Because that's really big too. Thoughts on the O-line improvements? Did they improve? Were you pleasantly surprised or slightly disappointed?
I was very indifferent when it comes to the offensive line, and I'll tell you why. I think they have to hate this game more than anybody else. Again, due to the quick whistle, they're getting charged with all these sacks that would never actually be sacks in a real game. They're split up, so they have half of the starters are on this one, half the starters on this one. You can't get cohesiveness. You can't get, you're not the unit you normally are. You're not playing with the guys you normally are. I think it's a disaster to try to glean anything from the offensive line. Now, you can see individual battles here and there that are won. I saw a couple of the sites talk about Marcus Tate, and he had a good day, which is great to hear from him. He's one of the guys that we really need to step up for depth purposes for sure. Heck, maybe even some starting purposes. I'm all for it. We need some beef on the offensive line, and he seems to be doing well pretty quickly. So that was a good thing. But everybody else, honestly, I don't even watch the offensive line because I don't think you're going to be able to tell anything because they're split up, the defense is split up, and the quick whistles, and I just don't really understand what we're looking at there enough because it's just too difficult. It's not a game type situation. So I'd have to go back and watch the replay very specifically, watch individual battles to see. But I feel quite sure, and I feel confident in saying this, the offensive line I think will be better this year and much better in the years to come.
Well, they got to be better. We know that. We know that. And I would also say, when it comes to spring games, what I have learned over the years is that Dabo Swinney has an agenda of who he wants to tell ESPN about. And last year was Cornell Powell. And I mean, really, the past 2 years was Cornell Powell, to be honest. He talked him up big time. And the first year didn't work out. Second year definitely did work out. So, I mean, ESPN already had like a pregame setup, graphics and everything ready for Tate. So, Eric McLean already had talking points for Tate. I feel like it was a little bit of a setup, a little bit of a display, a little bit of a bragging moment, and maybe he is definitely as good as he is. It's hard to tell, though, man. I don't know how you could go from that spring game and say, Marcus Tate, man, is doing awesome, without a coach feeding you that information, without the SID feeding you that information, or the other, assistant coaches feeding you that info. Now, Dabo's really good at that. He feeds the media specific info to maybe distract you from other areas. But I think that he definitely needs Marcus Tate to show up and show out this year. He wouldn't have put his name out there if he didn't. He's going to be the backup left tackle as assumed to Jordan McFadden. So that's an important position for sure. But I think that it was calculated to throw his name out there. But I do think that if history serves us well, he may be on for a really solid season. Still got the 5-star guy. Everybody's wondering, what about Tristan Lee? But it doesn't enroll until the summer. So didn't have him out there to play. So just keep that in mind as well. Another thing that Dabo mentioned, this will be the last thing, we're going to touch on quarterbacks as well in a separate video. So if you're wondering, why aren't we talking about the quarterback situation? Separate video. The running back rotation looked really good. I was surprised that Kobe Pace was the number one guy out the gate to get the ball and to show what he can do. I mean, a lot of skepticism around him because there's other guys that are starting to hopefully take his spot. Not hopefully, but out there that's what their hope is. For us, we just want the best player out there. But what are your thoughts on Pace? Did he do well? Were you surprised, indifferent, or disappointed?
I certainly wasn't surprised. I thought we had a great running back room. I talked about this on one of our videos prior that, look, even though we lost the best running back in Clemson history, I think the running numbers are going to be better this year. And because, in part, not necessarily because of the running backs specifically, but because of the offensive line. But our running backs are not, I don't want to say this, they're not bad. I mean, they're great. As a matter of fact, they're not as bad. Like when you're comparing them to Etienne, I guess I should say. I think that's a better way to put it. Comparing them to Etienne, I mean, anybody's going to look relatively average, right? These guys are not average. Okay, Kobe Pace is great. I'm not surprised that he got the ball first. Lynn J. Dixon did well. They all broke a big run from what I remember. I don't know if Moffitt ever got a big one, but I know Pace did. I know Dixon did. And Shipley, I think, got a good one as well. So all these guys are really, really talented. What would shock me is if all the guys that could be on the roster next year are still on the roster next year. Okay, because I think there's too many running backs, there's too much talent sitting on the bench that's not going to be able to play because there's only one ball.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I was looking at some roster breakdowns. It's so hard when you're doing the recruiting adjustments to try to see, okay, projecting out on recruiting, what's the roster going to be like 2 or 3 years down. Paul Strelo does really well with it. But for me, I mean, it's like doing algebra. I mean, it's just like, I know algebra's not that hard. I'm just pretending that. But
great.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But again, I think there's good news coming out of the defensive line front, good news coming out of the offensive line front, and the running back. For defensive line, for me, I liked what I saw from Trey Williams. Big guys there. I think they're going to be well. I think it's a good improvement on both defensive lines. and I look forward to what Clemson can do. We'll touch more as the videos go on. We don't want to take this one too long. We'll touch more. Check out some of our other videos on our YouTube channel. And again, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date to all of our Clemson content that comes out each and every week. If we missed anything, or if you want us to talk about something or film something else coming up, make sure you put in the comments and let us know what you want us to cover, because we are a fan, or a channel for the fans. If you're looking for a great place to eat, you have to check out Charleston Sports Pub. Listen to the reviews. Great food, great atmosphere, and great customer service. Try their burgers every Monday, half price. Dine in, take out, or delivery, 359 College Avenue, Clemson, South Carolina, or one of their other great locations, downtown Greenville, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Somerville, West Ashley, or Goose Creek. Upstate or low country, there isn't a reason you shouldn't try Charleston Sports Pub. Tell Perry and the crew that the guys from Morgan Thomas Show sent you.